Hi there, this is Neil Salvage, and welcome to this podcast, Gassing On. Yes, we're going to gas on about the world of ground gas, we're going to meet people in the industry, we're going to visit places, and generally find out about interesting things that are happening, developing, and the changes that have gone on before us. So welcome on board, and hope you enjoy this podcast. So, good afternoon and welcome. Today I'm joined by Patrick Flood of Juta, UK. Afternoon, Patrick.
Good afternoon, Neil. Nice to see you.
Don't get too close to the microphone, it'll distort. We don't want you distorted now, so how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm good. You are throwing this microphone in my face, just FYI.
I thought you'd get that in there. So, thanks for taking a bit of time out, Patrick. First of all, introduce yourself and who you are. You're well known in the industry. What do you do?
Oh, am I well known? That's flattering. I'm the technical director at Juta UK, and we are a geosynthetics manufacturer and supplier. Primarily, we focus around gas membranes, structural waterproofing products into the UK market and wider Europe at the moment. I'm a geologist by trade, so I have a geology degree. I was a geotechnical engineer for best part of 8 years, and then kind of fell into working for the manufacturers more on a technical sales role, and then over the years have kind of developed more a sort of R&D technical product type role. So yeah, do a bit of everything, Neil.
Good. And I know you've got a vast range of products out there doing, as you say, waterproofing, gas protection, you cross over even into your landfill lining work as well. You're involved in that sector?
Yeah, we work with secondary containment, landfill liners, coastal defence works, SUDS tanks. So yeah, we have a full geosynthetics portfolio. We're quite unusual in the UK in that we do have such a breadth of products. So a lot of manufacturers are associated with one type of product or another, but we have a solution for most things, which is what we try and do. So as an organisation, we're about innovation, quality and service, and the idea is we can give you whatever solution you need to the given problem.
And looking at the state of play in the ground gas sector at the moment, we're here at the Contaminated Land Expo today here in Birmingham. Where's the industry? How are we sitting at the moment? Where's it going? What's your views of that?
I think it's in a good place, but there's a lot of issues at the minute around proper detailed design. Are we giving ground contaminants, such as radon, methane, carbon dioxide, VOCs, hydrocarbons, appropriate due diligence and risk assessment, or are we just being unethical in our sales approach? So it's much like, I won't go into too much detail, but fire. So fire is a fear word at the minute, so we can use that to sell. If we were that way inclined, right, we might be like, oh yeah, fire, and our products are fire resistant and we'll sell based on fear. Juta is not that way focused. A lot of our competitors are. We're just about, let's look at the actual problem and let's try and solve it with the solutions we have.
And do you get yourself out and about to see your product in action? Is that an important part for you as a technical person? Yeah,
totally. I mean, I love the cut and thrust of the site work, and obviously a big part of the process is the installation. And it doesn't matter how good the products are, if they're installed like a bag of spanners, they aren't going to work. That using specialist installers or qualified installers who know what they're doing and having the process checked independently through CQA, third-party QA, is an important part of the process for sure.
Excellent. And we've just sat in on there was a presentation there from the international standards. We've both sat in and listened to the speaker there. You raised a valid question about recycled products. Is that a big part of your thoughts for the future?
Yeah, so we, as an industry, and certainly as thermoplastic manufacturers, so we manufacture high-performance engineered materials, but there's a whole other part of industry which is recycled film producers. So a typical damp-proof membrane is usually made up of recycled plastics or milk bottles and whatnot into a blown film, folded up, so full of creases and whatnot, chucked out on site, taped together, no real thought, due consideration. Whereas a typical gas membrane will be virgin material designed to last in the environment for a long time, so performing a critical barrier function for an anticipated design life, which is usually in excess of 60 years for a typical residential house. But yeah, there's huge conflict in the industry because people say we need to be green, we need to be eco, and immediately you're drawn to we should be recycling.
Yeah.
Whereas the flip side of that is all we design and manufacture products to last a long time, so we're not having to constantly dig them up and replace them, which is a sustainable approach in itself.
Yeah. Well, it's quite interesting to hear that, and that they gave us answers regarding that as the future rolls on, and we are going to have to change, aren't we? We can't just keep producing virgin polymers. Well,
it's about considering the application. So if we are putting landscaping products down, which are intended to last for 4 to 5 years, and then we would be expected to maintain them after that time, then recycled materials are perfectly fine. Where we're putting them under a structure where we don't anticipate any maintenance for a period of at least 50 to 60 years, then you should not be using lower durability products such as recycled materials.
Excellent. And one thing that's going on at the moment, very topical, is the supply lines, getting materials. Everybody's talking about timber shortages and semiconductors. I don't think that quite affects us yet, but how's that playing out for you guys for material manufacturing?
Yeah, we're okay. I mean, we have an exceptional team at Utah, so our operations, finance and buying department are well ahead of the curve. We were preparing for this scenario 2 years ago. So if anyone is facing supply issues with their current suppliers, feel free to get in touch. We'll happily try and help you. But yeah, of course, perfect storm at the minute. Lack of raw material, prices are increasing, projects are being pushed back, demand is super high. There's all this pent-up construction activity from the COVID lockdown. But yeah, we're doing well, and we're capitalising on that, as you would expect from a large manufacturer.
Yeah, and it also knocks onto this concrete supply. Everybody's saying there's a shortage of the concrete product, HS2 stealing it all from everybody and forcing the price up.
For sure.
Is that having a knock on to you guys as well, seeing the build process slow down? Because
a little bit. So some of the construction activities, not necessarily through the geosynthetics, but as you say, the timber, the steel, the concrete may be being diverted to some of these large publicly funded civils works, but yeah, not so much, to be honest, Neil. We're doing okay, and most of our customers are still extremely busy.
Good. Time to get the crystal ball out now, Patrick. Where's the future going for the industry? What do you think? What is your personal views on what should change, or what would you like to see change, or where do you see it going in the next 10, 15 years?
It's a tough one. I think for sure the materials we use today and are used to seeing today, particularly in gas protection, will be very different in, I would predict, probably the next 4 to 5 years. I think particularly at the moment, aluminium foil gas membranes are under scrutiny because of their survivability in the build process. So I would expect to see, as manufacturers, us providing better, more robust solutions. I would like to see the phasing out of taped systems.
Right.
I think there are massive issues with durability, and also you generally don't get skilled workforces installing tape systems, so I suspect, or I'd like to see a phasing out of those type of systems as well.
So that's systems related. When you look at the guidance that sits there at the moment, 735 plays a big part in what we do. It was quite influential in 2014 when it was launched, this verification process. Is that having any effects? Are you seeing any knock-ons really in your roles at all?
A little bit. I mean, in terms of verification, it's interesting because when we work in mainland Europe, Utah operates as the CQA engineer on site, and the reports we produce to sign off an install will include an element of on-site testing, checking declarations of performance, CE marking, all of that sort of stuff that you would traditionally see in a landfill type scenario with the Environment Agency as the regulator. What we see in the built environment with C735 is what I would deem light touch QA. So pictures, manufacturer's installation instructions. I don't think there's enough scrutiny there. So certainly in the future going forward, I'd like to see that process become more competent in terms of the scrutiny of materials. I think that will weed out a lot of the low performance materials.
And do you think 735 is in a position to have a little bit of a refresh? Do you think there's a few gaps and a few tweaks that could be added to that document? Or, you're sitting there, I always find new documents, because it's fairly new, it's only 2014, 6-7 years down the line, the first ones are always the kind of, it's the initial one. Do you think there's any doors that should be shut in that document in particular? Anything you can see?
No. We can't rewrite the document right now, but yeah, I think anything can be improved on. I think we've had, certainly from the verification side of things, we've had the guidance in place since 2014. We're now, 7 years into living and working with that guidance document, so we're aware of the pitfalls, potential improvements, and yes, it's probably about time for a refresh. Whether that makes it better or worse, I don't know. I mean, I look at that industry at the moment in terms of verification. You have the BBC, there's the accredited verify scheme with Claire, all great things, but there's also still a lot of banditery, and I would like to see that stamped out. So if we can get to a point where everyone's working to a certain benchmark, great, and if C735 can do that, fantastic.
Banditery, that's a good word.
Banditery.
Banditery, I'll have to remember that.
I don't know if it's a word, Neil, but I like it.
I like that. Patrick, thanks for your time today. It's been really interesting to hear your views and sharing those thoughts with us. If anybody wants to get hold of you from today's podcast, where will they find you?
Well, just look out the window and I'm there. No, you can get me at patrick@uta.co.uk or on the mobile number, which I'll not give out on the podcast, but or uta.co.uk is the website. Get in touch with the team. We're always happy to help.
And you're on LinkedIn as well. You're out there on social media.
Yeah, get me on LinkedIn, not Facebook. That's more personal. But yeah, LinkedIn on a professional side of things, or click and like the link on this page and I will find you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Patrick. Really appreciate that, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. Thanks for the cuddle as well. Much appreciated.
Lovely. So thanks for joining us, and look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye now.